Welcome to this Florida Department of Transportation technical training on how to set up and host a virtual public meeting using GoToWebinar. In this training, you will learn about the technical aspects and considerations for delivering virtual public meetings that are consistent in quality with the department's in-person public meetings. The training is oriented to department staff and consultants and is divided into 4 main parts. The first part answers why the department is providing this training. The second describes a virtual public meeting and features that make them suitable for public meetings. The third part provides instructions on setting up and hosting a virtual public meeting. GoToWebinar will be used to illustrate the setup, but other platforms authorized by the department may be used. Finally, I'll point out a few key takeaways from the training. The department is providing this training in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Public health orders related to the pandemic have called for cancellation or postponement of sizable gatherings of people in physical spaces. These circumstances prevent in-person public meetings like those routinely conducted by the department. Hearing from the public is fundamental to the department's work. Therefore, the department has issued an interim process for conducting public engagement activities during this emergency. The interim process, which took effect on April 1, 2020, provides for online public meetings in place of certain types of public meetings. Under the interim process, online public meetings must be approved by the district secretary and tailored to the specific type of project involved. All face-to-face public meetings must be postponed, and public hearings of any kind must also be postponed, pending further guidance from the department. When planning an online public meeting, the interim process calls for careful consideration of demographics. If any members of the affected and interested public would be unable to participate in an online format, the meeting should be postponed until in-person meetings can resume. Online public meetings must follow all applicable state and federal laws and regulations, including the Americans with Disabilities Act and Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. Likewise, compliance with department procedures is required for approval of meeting materials and notifying the public about the meeting. Opportunity for public comment should be available during online public meetings, as well as afterward through traditional public comment methods. All public comments, including those received during online meetings, become part of the public record. A recording of the virtual public meeting must be posted online for public viewing after the meeting. It may be appropriate for the public comment period to exceed the 10-day minimum to allow adequate time for the public to watch the video and provide comments following the virtual meeting. The interim process draws from Chapter 28-109 of the Florida Administrative Code pertaining to meetings conducted using communications media technology. For more information on this and other public involvement related laws, regulations, and procedures, please refer to the Department's Public Involvement Handbook. The handbook and other public involvement resources are posted on the Department's Public Involvement webpage. Simply stated, a virtual public meeting is a meeting where the public is engaged in a virtual environment and not in person. A virtual public meeting uses technology that allows a group of people to communicate through an internet or telephone connection, or both. Online meeting platforms generally offer audio and screen sharing and two-way communication components. Participants can see and hear the meeting proceedings and use messaging and/or microphone to communicate with others in the meeting. For persons who cannot access a virtual public meeting through the internet, online meetings usually have a telephone dial-in option. Along that line, some virtual public meetings are conducted entirely by telephone. An example of this is telephone town hall meetings, where people can dial in to listen to a discussion and provide spoken comments. While virtual public meetings offer convenience by accommodating public participation wherever people are, we must always be attentive to potential barriers to participation faced by some individuals and groups. Access to a virtual public meeting may be harder for some and impossible for others based on one or more characteristics shown here. Knowing about the people who live, work, shop, study, or travel in our plan or project area will help us respond to communication challenges that could negatively impact our public engagement goals. For this training, we have established the setup and hosting of a virtual public meeting in 9 steps. Steps 1 through 6 involve preparation. from establishing our virtual public meeting timeline through rehearsal. Step 7 covers activities on the day of the live event. The last steps, 8 and 9, are a few things to take care of after the meeting. Step 1 is about getting organized. And getting organized for a public meeting typically starts with laying out a timeline. This example shows a portion of an overall timeline for planning and holding a public meeting. It envisions virtual public meeting preparations starting 8 weeks out. Activities shown in bold text correspond to the 9-step process discussed in the remainder of this training. No matter the format, it takes a team to host a public meeting. The GoToWebinar platform recognizes 3 primary roles for an online meeting. These are the roles of organizer, panelist, and attendee. An organizer performs the functions such as the meeting moderator, timekeeper, question box manager, chat box manager, technical support, and someone who watches the meeting as a surrogate attendee to identify issues from that perspective. Usually there is a main organizer with others performing as co-organizers. A panelist is a speaker during the event, which for a public meeting is likely to be the project manager and other subject matter experts. A panelist can be given presenter rights by the main organizer in order to share their screen with attendees. Attendees are people that join the meeting to learn about the topic and provide comments if they so choose. A process agenda is useful for organizing the various parts and players involved in a virtual public meeting. This tool shows the organizers and panelists when their part of the meeting starts and ends and what materials and tools will be used at that time. The process agenda helps ensure the meeting has a timely start, smooth transitions, and otherwise stays on track, which is important in virtual given the separation between the speakers and the audience. Step 2 is to check all equipment that will be used for the virtual public meeting. Organizers and panelists should perform a system check to make sure the online meeting platform functions properly with their operating system, web browser, internet connection, software, and hardware. An easy system check is available on the GoToWebinar website. Avoid using Wi-Fi to connect to the internet. A hardwired connection offers better speed and stability for running an online meeting. Now think about the workspace where you will be during the meeting broadcast. For the main organizer going between the presentation slides and the meeting control panel, a single monitor will work, but having 2 monitors makes it much easier. For co-organizers monitoring the question and chat boxes, a second monitor provides extra real estate for undocking and expanding those boxes for a better view of comments coming in and typing responses to go out. As to audio needs, built-in computer speakers are sufficient, but a decent microphone is a must, as nothing is more distracting during a virtual meeting than poor audio quality. Use a good quality headset or a well-placed desk microphone, and avoid lavalier-type mics, which tend to pick up rustling noises with movement. A telephone is a good piece of standby equipment in case something goes wrong with the audio. If showing the moderator and panelist while speaking is desired, those folks will need a webcam. And finally, think about the potential for background noise that could interfere with the broadcast. If necessary, find a quieter location for running the meeting. Around 6 weeks prior to the virtual public meeting, presentation materials are likely already in production. In Step 3, we think through how to share this information in the virtual environment. Keep in mind that attendees may be viewing the meeting on different types of devices with screens of various sizes. Therefore, it's a good practice to keep visual information simple. If certain vital information is too fine-grained or detailed for small screens, consider providing the information as a viewable and downloadable PDF in the online meeting platform. Fonts and color choices can also impact legibility on a screen. Experts recommend fonts that are 26-point or larger. Darker versus lighter colors are a better choice for text, especially for smaller text. A plain one-color background is best, and lighter backgrounds look good on just about any display. Avoid distracting your audience with overly wordy slides and opt for high-quality images that help the public understand the slide's topic. And try to limit moving parts. Slide transitions can slow down the progression of your slides and your public meeting. And showing video successfully will depend on the internet connection of not only the organizer, but also the attendees. For in-person public meetings, we rely on boards and other printed materials to convey information to the public. In a virtual environment, that information must be shared differently. Virtual public meetings will require scripts for the various parts of the meeting. At the outset of the meeting, housekeeping information helps orient attendees to the online meeting platform. Early in the meeting, FDOT's non-discrimination statement should be read and shown on the screen. Plan or project information lets attendees know what is under consideration and how they can inform the decision-making process. If a poll question is used during the meeting, instructions on how to participate will be needed. And finally, there should be a script containing instructions on how to provide comments and inviting participation in a survey after the meeting. Be sure to provide clear instructions on how the public can provide comments during the meeting. The online meeting platform has two options for public comments. First, attendees can type their comments in the question box on the attendee control panel. The organizer can see comments made on the organizer's control panel, which we'll go through in the next section of the training. The second option for comments allows attendees to use the raise hand feature on the attendee control panel. The default setting for attendees is muted, so the organizer must unmute the attendee, which allows them to be heard by the entire audience. After speaking, attendees are asked to lower their hand. One technique for managing the succession of speakers at a meeting is to ask people to sign up to speak in advance. Registered speakers could be called 3 at a time to be on deck and ready to speak. This slide shows the attendees view of the GoToWebinar control panel. You can see the mute, unmute, and raise hand buttons up top. The icon for the question box is just below. Questions are typed in the field at the bottom of the page. To reinforce the information provided in the meeting scripts, include complementary slides in the meeting slide deck. The examples shown include meeting tips for attendees, FDOT's non-discrimination statement and context, and a thank you slide with key information for attendees. If you happen to lose audio during the meeting, have a slide like this handy to inform attendees of the situation. If technical problems prevent interested persons from participating in the virtual meeting, the proceedings should be terminated until the problems have been corrected. As mentioned earlier, meeting materials can be added to the online platform for downloading during the meeting. Step 4 is the setup of the virtual public meeting on an online meeting platform. To access the GoToWebinar app, click on the Windows symbol on your computer's taskbar and type GoToWebinar. When the app appears, click it to get to this screen. If the app does not appear, download it to your computer. GoToWebinar can be accessed through the web browser, but the app is usually faster for running a meeting. Next, click on Schedule a Webinar. This takes us to the GoToWebinar dashboard. Here we can create a new event and see details about our upcoming and past events. Before creating a new event, first go to Settings to review two very important items. Under the Audio tab, select how attendees can call into the event. Under the Built-in button, select all options available. For a public meeting, both computer audio and long distance are used. Moving down the page to the Recording tab, confirm that the Auto Record toggle is in the On position. This will automatically start the meeting recording when the broadcast begins, so it can be shared with the public for on-demand viewing after the meeting. Refresh the app by clicking this symbol near your browser window. Return to the dashboard view and click Create an Event. The Schedule page comes up and shows actions for creating a new event. The event title is added here. In this section, indicate Live for the event. This enables interaction with the attendees during the meeting. Here, select the frequency of the event. A single event is typical for a public meeting, but additional meetings could be conducted in non-English languages. Here we indicate the date, time, and time zone. At the bottom, we select the form of interaction with attendees. Click on Standard to allow full interaction with attendees, including the dial-in phone line. When all the information has been provided, click Schedule. This brings us to the Event Details page. The first action on this page is about the meeting. Set the desired language in this box. Add the meeting description here. The description will be used on the attendee registration form. There is a link to add the new event to your calendar. Click here to see the form for adding meeting organizers. Click here to see the form for adding panelists. If there are changes to the event, these persons are automatically updated by checking this box. Moving down the Event Details page, we come to Settings. The Auto Record option is automatically set to record the event when the broadcast starts. The Audio section shows the dial-in number for the meeting. The audio pin, which is not shown until after joining the online meeting, is unique to each participant. The audio access codes here are different for the organizers, panelists, and attendees. The meeting platform uses the codes to distribute these roles to different areas on the GoToWebinar control panel. The In-Session Management section has a field to type in a welcome message for the chat box and another field to list presenters in the waiting room. This content is shown on the screen in the meeting waiting room. The next pane under the Event Details section is Branding and Colors. Design elements can help you distinguish your meeting from other meetings being promoted around the same time. At the top, you can upload a logo that will appear prominently in the GoToWebinar materials. Here, you can add a feature image that helps identify your plan or project. The Feature Color option allows selection of a background color for the various screens and emails attendees will see. Click here to see a preview of the registration form. Under Share Event is the Invite Your Attendees section. The registration URL and webinar ID for the meeting are shown here and here. Options are provided for emailing yourself the information for forwarding to attendees via email, copying it to the computer clipboard for pasting in a letter and other outreach materials, and previewing the information on the screen. Next on the Event Details page is a list of registration settings. I'll go over those items that would be used for a department public meeting. For registration limit, use the highest number of registrations provided under the GoToMeeting account to ensure that all interested persons can register. If the registration limit seems low, given the level of interest in your plan or project, arrange for a higher subscription. Default registration questions include first name, last name, and email address, but you can select from a menu or devise your own registration questions here. This area could include information about ADA accommodations. The source tracking feature allows the use of trackable URLs for publishing in different places such as social media feeds. The email address of the person who will receive notifications of new registrations is added under Registration Notification. An after-session video uploaded here will be linked to the follow-up email to attendees after the meeting. Tracking at the bottom provides a running count of registrations received. And this is what the registration form looks like. It shows the information that was provided during the setup. Moving down the page, we come to emails. The first action is to add the reply to name and address that will be embedded in the emails distributed to the project mailing list. Next is the confirmation email to registrants. This email includes the meeting access information. The email form includes input fields so that additional information can be provided if desired. A reminder email can be sent up to 3 times before the meeting, and like the confirmation email, can be customized. A follow-up email can be sent to attendees and people who registered but did not sign into the meeting. This email is also customizable and may include the link to the meeting recording. The last section on the Event Details page is Engage Your Attendees, where up to 25 survey questions can be added. If a survey is used, there are 3 options for offering it. The survey can appear on the attendee's screen immediately after the meeting. It can be included in the follow-up emails to attendees, and the registrants who were absent from the meeting can receive it in a follow-up email. Up to 20 poll questions can be added to be administered during the meeting. Up to 5 meeting handouts can be added here. If video is to be shown during the meeting, up to 5 can be uploaded here. Now we'll return to the event dashboard to start a meeting and see the meeting control panel. From the dashboard, click on the series of dots here and select Practice. This brings us to the GoToWebinar control panel containing tools and features used to run the meeting. At the top of the control panel is the Start button. Start the broadcast when you are ready for the audience to hear you. The audience view appears after starting the broadcast. It shows a thumbnail view of what the audience can see on their screens. The sharing pane is where you start sharing your screen. A pull-down menu allows you to select from everything that's shown on your screen, videos uploaded during setup, and select windows open on your desktop. Like a video player, a pause setting is visible while you are sharing. Stop showing screen ceases any view of your screen. You can hand the keyboard and mouse control to another participant, allowing them to take control of your computer. By changing the presenter, anyone in the meeting gains the ability to show their screen. The Settings buttons provides options for all aspects of running a live meeting. The webcam sharing can be used by up to 6 presenters during the meeting. The audio settings allow selection of computer audio, phone call, or no audio. Sound sensors indicate if you can be heard, and a sound check tool indicates if your equipment is working. The dashboard provides an overview of the meeting, including time remaining and attendee attentiveness. Moving down the control panel, the attendee panel shows the names of people who have joined the meeting. From here, the organizer can mute and unmute attendees and see if they have asked a question or raised their hand. All attendees are muted by default during the meeting. Organizers and panelists are also listed here under the Staff tab. Controls allow these staff to subconference before and during the meeting. Polls is where pre-inserted questions for the audience are launched. Launching a poll allows the audience to see and respond to a poll question. After sharing the poll results, remember to hide it from attendee view. The question box contains typed questions from attendees. A field is provided for typed responses. Responses can be sent privately to the asker or to the entire audience along with the question. The Handouts pane contains documents preloaded for access by attendees during the meeting. Uploads can also occur during the meeting. In the chat box, messages can be sent to all participants or only to staff. The Control Panel Grab tab offers quick access to often used features and tools. The arrow shrinks the control panel to maximize view of your screen. Mute/unmute allows you to change your computer audio devices. Share your webcam controls use of your webcam. Once you start sharing your screen here, this button appears where you can pause and then share it again. You can give someone your keyboard and mouse control and change the presenter using these buttons. Various drawing tools allow you to draw on your shared screen during the meeting. To make the panes of the control panel easier to view and manage, you can undock them by clicking the box in the upper right corner of the pane and dragging it to another place on your desktop. Letter notifications for a public meeting start going into the mail 4 to 5 weeks prior to the public meeting. Information on how to access the virtual public meeting, including the meeting registration link, direct dial-in number, and meeting access code, is provided in the letters and all other notifications sent in the days leading up to the meeting. Other ways the public is informed about the meeting may include website content, social media posts, and traditional media releases. For this step, coordinate with the District Communications Office as appropriate for your district. Step 6 is to rehearse the virtual public meeting. A dry run of the meeting will ensure a seamless start and elevate the team's performance. A week or so before the meeting, send out the meeting access link to the team and schedule rehearsal to test the online meeting platform equipment, practice the meeting slides and agenda, and identify and resolve any problems. To test the online meeting platform with the team, the main organizer starts the meeting in practice mode. After the organizers and panelists have successfully accessed the meeting, The main organizer provides an orientation to the various control panel functions, including setting the audio and webcam controls, passing the presenter role, sharing screens, playing video, progressing slides, using the question and chat boxes, muting and unmuting participants, and launching poll questions. Team members can also practice undocking modules from the control panel and setting up their computer desktop. Listed here are a few tips from seasoned online meeting organizers. The first is to join the meeting from the desktop app instead of the web browser, which will improve the performance of the meeting platform. Second, close all non-essential applications such as email and internet browsers. Applications can tap computer memory and bandwidth that are needed to run your meeting. Closing apps will also stop unwanted pop-ups on your screen, like this. Turn off unnecessary electronics to avoid disturbances. Silence nearby phones, but keep one handy in case there are connection issues. And have a backup plan. Have multiple organizers practice in starting and running the meeting. Print the presentation so you have it in case you can't see it on your screen. Have the dial-in number somewhere other than your computer so you can rejoin by phone if there's a power outage or something else affects your computer. And have a rainy day date in mind should technical issues prevent the meeting from progressing. Additional tips and troubleshooting instructions are available on the GoToWebinar website. Test the presentation visuals on different screens to see how they appear. Register as an attendee for the dry run to preview the presentation from your smartphone or tablet. Check the flow and timing of the agenda by running through the presentation slides and scripts with the team. Encourage team members with a speaking part to practice early and often before the meeting. Presenting to a faceless, soundless audience can be daunting. We can't read the room to see how our information is being received. Practice is probably the best way to get comfortable talking to a screen. As with any presentation, mix up your tone and pace to keep the audience interested and engaged. Don't forget to pause, especially before or after an important point. This adds impact, varies the pace, and gives you time to collect yourself. Don't be afraid to project your voice and show enthusiasm. Being a little extra can help compensate for not being in the same room with your audience. The day has come and it's almost time for the meeting to start. Step 7 is to host the virtual public meeting. You'll want adequate time for the team to set up and get settled, so plan to start the meeting in practice mode 30 minutes prior to the published start time. About 15 minutes before the meeting starts, organizers will see the arrival of attendees. At this time, the question box manager should start keeping an eye on questions coming in. Some may require assistance using the meeting platform. Use the chat box to apprise attendees of any need-to-know information. The moderator may chime in for a short greeting and announcement that the meeting is about to begin. At the published start time, start the broadcast. Throughout the meeting, respond to comments and questions in the question box. Let attendees know that the team will be responding to comments and questions after the meeting. After the meeting video is posted for online viewing by the public, and responses to public comments are prepared and distributed. To retrieve the video for sharing, go to the dashboard on GoToWebinar. Click on Past Events and select your meeting. The video will be shown at the bottom of the page. To obtain the video, go to Videos on the sidebar. Look for your video and right-click it. From the drop-down menu, you have the option of downloading the video file or copying a link to the video. The link is housed on the GoToWebinar site and is accessible to anyone with the link. The link is a convenient way to share these very large files. With the video link and file in hand, you are ready to distribute the video. Follow-up emails to attendees will automatically include the video if selected during meeting setup. Post the link on the plan or project website and social media feeds. Upload the video file to the appropriate FDOT YouTube channel and the plan or project file. If the virtual public meeting provided the option for spoken comments, those comments will be audible on the meeting video. To retrieve the written comments from the question box, go to the GoToWebinar dashboard and click the Analytics button. From the Analytics page, click Build Report. This takes you to the Generate Report page, which shows 9 different types of reports with different details about your meeting. Click Q&A Follow-up, which includes the questions asked and answers given during the meeting. You'll see a prompt to select a session. After selecting a session, choices will be offered for file type and method of delivery, either an email of the report or download. The Q&A follow-up report may include the data shown, depending on the customizations added during the meeting setup. Step 9 is to debrief with the virtual public meeting team. The best time to debrief is as soon as you can after the meeting has ended. That way, the experience will still be fresh in everyone's mind. During the debrief, think about the meeting objectives and expectations and if they were met. Were any problems encountered? Were problems solved? How were they solved? If something worked particularly well, identify ways to replicate that success, perhaps through sharing your knowledge with others. Ask the team what they would like to see happen at virtual public meetings in the future. Be sure to consider the results of any attendee feedback captured during or after the meeting. In conclusion, I'll point out a few key things to remember from what we have covered today. The first takeaway is a very important one, and it is to consider demographics and community needs when planning a virtual public meeting. The next 2 takeaways are to consult department procedures and obtain necessary approvals as you would for any public meeting. Fourth is to use branding elements that make your meeting recognizable to the public and distinct from other meetings. We all know that practice is a necessary ingredient for a well-executed meeting, and evaluating our performance is the path to better public meetings in the future. Thank you for viewing this training on how to set up and host a virtual public meeting using GoToWebinar. If you have questions or comments about this training or other public involvement topics, please contact Dr. Rusty Ennemoser, State Public Involvement and Community Resources Coordinator. This and other public involvement resources are available on the department's public involvement webpage.